Welcome to Age of Empires 4. We are on Dry Arabia at the end of Season 10, chilling in the Platinum League as these players try to bump up their team scores one more time before the season ends tomorrow. We have on the western side of the map first, in orange, playing Jeanne d'Arc. We have Kid. And in the southern side of this team, playing the Abbasid, we have Caralador. There we go. Caralador. And on the other side, flipping down to the eastern side, a little more to the south, in red, we have Rezi playing the French. And in yellow, playing the Mongols, Mizrativ. I don't know how much I'm going to be saying people's names on this channel. There are lots of languages, lots of spellings around. But anyway, what can we expect here? Well, we have two great Knight Civs in particular coming out here. Both teams have a French or French variant player. Both of those have the ability to put on a lot of early pressure. And you can play that one of two ways. You can either use that early pressure to try and deny the perhaps more boomier player on your team. In this case, you could really imagine Rezi here as the red French wanting to go after Kid. Excuse me, not Kid. Trying to go after Caralador on the Abbasid. They're directly across. They have a forward goal. It's a really good target. But what you can also try to do is try to disrupt the opponent's aggressor. So in this case, you can see the red French player trying to go directly against the orange Jeanne d'Arc player and try to deny them goal, deny them the ability to get the resources they need to aggress. Often in this situation, we'll see the House of Wisdom. There's really one of two options people will typically go for here. One is the military wing, get out those spears, have the defense, maybe get a second TC up and running. And we have an age upcoming somewhere on the map, it sounds like. No, that's just the availability of it. So we have, for no surprise, School of Cavalry coming up here for Jeanne d'Arc. The first ones to make a move. It's also likely we see Deer Stones out of the Mongols. It gives them the ability to get the Khan's Hunters that buff the attack, particularly of the Mangudai. If the Abbasid, though, don't want to go, and it looks like they are going to go Eco-Wing, so they're going to go and try to get that economic push, get the top couple of town centers. Now, I'm not sure what build they're using. There is a build that's quite popular where you want to make sure you get a couple of villagers off of food, get them over to wood, and then we'll see if they're able to get off the gold vein onto stone. A little sheep attack going on. He's going to miss a sheep there. Sorry, Red. Oh, no, he's found it. Great, good for him. So right now, we're seeing not fantastic macro from the Abbasid player. They've opted for the tower on the stone, which definitely has its place, but we have too many villagers on food for quite some time. We've had too many villagers on gold as they now start to migrate. When you're aging up as Abbasid, you need 75 gold for the Fertile Crescent, and you need 75 gold for the fresh foodstuffs. They've macroed 90 over that. So that was a lot of villager time spent not gathering the resources they need. They also still have 6 on food. You only need 4 and a little bit less than that once fresh foodstuffs kicks in. So this is going to delay the Abbasid town center quite a bit, which means that now that the School of Cavalry is out for the French, they're able to get out there and maybe put some pressure on deny a town center. Kid, checking out what the French might be up to. As the Deer Stones is being rushed up now, a bit belatedly. This is a late age up here. So no military units on the field, but that's going to change quickly. We have our first Royal Knight out. No queue yet, but we do see their scout. And they are looking to go for that second approach I mentioned. Right now, Jeanne d'Arc is scouting out the French, trying to check on the aggressor and try to give their teammate a little more room here. And they're going to need it, because they don't have the resources lined up the way they need to. Still have 9 on food. Oh, Susie, I'm looking at the wrong one here. Yeah. Okay. No, they're in better shape now. 2 on food, or is going to be possible soon. Now we see the Deerstones making their way. Check in on where they're going. Just up forward position in the base. Getting that YAM network out there. So the first of the red knights is heading directly towards the Abbasid base. Directly to the gold, but there's no one on gold, and this is, you know, maybe a mistake here. What do the Abbasid need on gold right now? They don't need anything on gold. They have more gold than they need. So France is out here trying to deny something that they don't need to. They're going to come around. Scout's going to join. That's going to help. It's going to help the knight find what they need to target. Good protection here. And they've only done for the one town center that's coming up quite slowly. Only 6 villagers on it. So, and a premature, bit of a premature escape for the villagers. So, Abbasid is not maybe putting pedal to the metal here. They could be collecting. They have enough stone for 2 town centers. They almost have enough wood. So, not a crisp opening. Both town centers could be down by at this point. And now they definitely have the resources for them. But France has also misplayed it by not identifying proper targets, by going to a gold when there was no need to go to the gold, by kind of slow rolling towards these berries. So, right now, no damage done by either teammate. Jeanne d'Arc is going to move her people out to these berries. You know, for a tower and a mill, you have a lot more bang for your buck if you go out here for these deer out there. But be it as it may, the French found the deer. No tower for them. Tower on the gold. And a horseman coming out to rejoin their fellow knights. So now they're making their way towards what appears to be the Cap de Jeanne d'Arc. What are they going to try to look for here? Well, they want to deny gold to keep Jeanne d'Arc from being able to get their own knights out onto the field. Speaking of which, harassment with Jeanne d'Arc, 2 knights and a scout, being responded to by Akeshik, Mengadai, and Khan's hunters. Orange Knight caught out of position here. So skirmishes, not engagements, but now they're going to catch up on the orange Jeanne d'Arc player here. The Mengadai are going to be able to take out the first knight here with a couple more shots. And now Jeanne d'Arc out of position herself. She's going to go down. Going to take a lot of damage here. So misplayed here. Big loss for the Jeanne d'Arc player. Well, that definitely puts the Southern team in a strong position, at least now. They have the ability to put some pressure on. Orange has very little to defend with. Pink has nothing to defend with, as we see them move out onto their own sheep, or excuse me, deer. So we have seen a 4th town center come down. So this is quite the boom coming out here. So again, an opportunity missed by Red moving their scout around, coming out here. You know, they did an initial little push into this, but they moved away. Now, France has no idea. If we go into their line of sight, they don't know about the extra town centers. They don't know how much of an economic boom the Abbasid are going to have here. Nobody booms quite like the Abbasid. And when they're able to go into those camels, it'll be big damage. Now, with the Deerstones coming up, this is going to really charge up the harassment of the French. France feeling the pressure, or excuse me, Jeanne d'Arc feeling the pressure. Now, Red harassing on the back line. And there's an opportunity here, if Abbasid doesn't get back up online pretty quick, that there is going to be nothing for the that their teammate can do. Abbasid, you can boom all you want, but at some point you need to be making units. We now see 2 archery ranges coming out. Simple archers coming out, which is not going to do the job. There's too many knights on the field. Jeanne d'Arc able to push away their own as Jeanne hops in, doesn't go to join her comrades. But red and yellow definitely putting on the pressure here, knowing that if they can take out Jeanne d'Arc, that Abbasid's resources won't matter if they don't have a teammate. Abbasid walling themselves in. I don't know if this is a pre-made team or not, but this is where, you know, 5 archers. Now, the archers do counter Mangudai quite well, but you need a good mass of them, and you need to be able to brace yourself against the charge of their teammates' knights. Gonna check in on the current resources, and you can see Abbasid is really starting to stack it up. 900 wood. What do you need 900 wood for? Well, they're putting down more production. That's good. That's a lot of ranges. Barracks to get spears out could be really advantageous, and you could also start transferring that into the discounted farms that the Abbasid get. Abbasid farms only costing 53 wood. But right now, sitting on 900 resources that are not doing anything. They're not collecting interest. Back at the front. Harassment coming in. Try to pick off some of these gold gathering villagers for Jeanne d'Arc. Jeanne d'Arc is going to push out. And now we see the rotation coming through. France is going to try again to put pressure on the Abbasid. Abbasid has not been able to leverage their resources and does not have what they need. As luck has it, though, those archers they made are going to be able to push back the Mangudai as the army splits. But now there's nothing through here to protect against the French raids. The archers are coming back. I don't know why. They can't do any help here. They cannot do any good here. The town centers are doing about as much work. These archers, if you're going to make them, they got to be where the Mangudai are. Still, we're not seeing any barracks out. And now a large army is, and here the archers are going to get caught out of position. Orange is going to come try to protect them with their own knights, and they will. Some losses, though, needlessly taken by the Abbasid. Abbasid has to be careful. Don't plow through that wood line. 44 on wood. That's a significant piece of the economy. More than half of the units on wood for units that are just going to keep getting ripped apart here. You can see the pink players trying to micro their units, but you can't micro the Keshiks. You gotta stay on hitting out those ranged units. Huge losses. France has been able to get their, Jeanne d'Arc has been able to get their players back on the gold. They're not able to really boost the get the knights out on the field. They're only making cavalry. They don't have anything to spend to make the non-gold units with. For now, they're pushed back, but the advantage seems to really lie with the southern team. That's it's going to take a lot of arrows. Now they're going to try to invest in the ram. But the thing with the Mongol landmarks is they can put them in your base like this, and it can look really tempting to want to ram them down. But the deer stones can be picked up and moved, and there they go. And this ram is 200 resources of nothing. That's going to provide zero benefit here. We still see the stream of archers coming out, and no camels coming out to debuff the enemy cavalry. And that's all the southern team or the eastern team is making. They have 100% cavalry, and we don't see a single camel coming out here from Abbasid. So more mismacroing. I just want to point out too, you have 1,500 gold. You don't need 1,500 gold. You have the resources to put down a lot of farms. You could pivot towards castle And in Castle, you do have the ability to get the incredible composite bows upgrade. If you're going to go into these archer masses to handle the ranged cavalry, you're going to need that. Now again, flying blind, going to lose some villagers here. No reaction yet from Abbasid. Only now do they start trickling out as the archers come in vain to come defend. The Eastern team able to do all they want right now. They are not being impacted. They're not being raided. There's absolutely no pressure coming through here. That fence, maybe not the biggest priority here. But Red is going to look for an opportunity. There's a villager here. How do 34 archers do against 10 against 10 French Royal Knights? Might not be what you need. So again, losing villagers, running across the field division here. Again, you could be using your bases. You could be having farms out here. They haven't opted for that. The archer mass is doing surprisingly well until France decides to turn around and actually fight it. We're going to come back to this fight a little bit and see how the Jeanne d'Arc player is doing here. Very small military, coming down with a lot of ranges. And as we see the military wing coming in here for the Abbasid. So military wing, very potent with archers. You will get 2 camel riders out as well to help deal with this. But that's assuming that this economy doesn't get picked apart. You have 17,000, 17,000. You have 1,800 gold here. What is it doing? It's doing absolutely nothing right now. You don't need it. So France is able to do what they want here with the Abbasid. They're going to be able to run around, deny it, and until this starts getting converted into better units or better production or safer food sources like the farms around their town center, the economy of the Abbasid doesn't matter. Losing more villagers. The villagers are replaceable. They're cheap. There's a lot of ways to make them, but they're not infinite. Mangudai, Khan's Hunters, and Keshiks first giving the Jeanne d'Arc cavalry the runaround, then turn to fighting. And right now we're seeing Kid just struggling to really get a mass going. They have military here that could be defending them. They have archers in the base that could be helping deal with these range archers. So I don't know if it's a lack of coordination between these two players. And now we see 22 more villagers out here. I mean, they could be rushing fast imp. If you rush fast imp for Abbasid, what do you get? Well, you can go for... I mean, what do you want? You want the trade ring? You're not going to do a ton of trading. You're not in a position to. You don't have the map control. Now we see the Castle Age coming in. And it looks like they are rushing to go into trade. Perhaps that's the play, a fast imp into trade. But to do that, you need map control. You need walls coming up. A force of 50 for archers. Danger now for the Jeanne d'Arc villagers. And now we have trade coming out here for the Mongols. Got full map trade here, possible for both teams. Now the Abbasid have added in crossbows, which will do a bit better damage. Have they gone? So they're going for the boot camp upgrade. They have got farms down. They got the farm upgrade. And this is where you will see the Abbasid economy absolutely start taking off here. It's a very manganellable army. The remnants of the French get picked off here. Jeanne d'Arc ages up. But you have to reckon with the fact that you have 2 untouched economies here in the south. Full trade going on here. Now, what do you want to do if you're the French teammate here? You need to wall. You can make walls. The Mongols cannot. You got to help out your teammate. You can start with palisades if you need to. But it's only a method that ran from earlier, getting absolutely zero use. Archers come out to protect it for no reason, loses that. Jeanne d'Arc's going to come forward to try to defend, but it's futile. France here has stayed on 1 TC in the south here. Now they are going to be absolutely unable to compete later in the game. They didn't go for the Guild Hall. They went for the Royal Institute to play out that feudal game. But if they don't have trade or they don't have a second town center and you're going to have 4 TC Abbasid into Trade Wing, well, the Abbasid will have the ability to simply pump out units. They are able to get that age up now. We'll see if they click up on it. And they do. And they go Culture Wing. Interesting. So even though they're positioning for trade, they're going for Culture Wing. A Culture Wing gets you cheaper tech, which in the Imperial Age is no small deal. In the Imperial Age, you have a lot of expensive technologies you want to get. You want to make sure they're at full force. You can do that here. You have the trade to back it up. You also get, and this is one of my favorite technologies the Abbasid get, is medical centers, where your town centers and keeps do pretty significant area of effect healing for all of your units. Now the Abbasid pushing forward, archer only, into cavalry. The single ram with its 45, 48 health, gonna try to do work. And this mass is gonna get absolutely obliterated here. No support from Jeanne d'Arc yet. They are coming, crossbows coming in. Why you pick this fight as you're going into Imperial Age? Why you're doing this fight without rams? Why you're doing this fight without any camels? Really, it's beyond me. I don't understand this. And now this mass of the Abbasid is just being absolutely demolished. Good archer base for the French is going to be picked apart by Jeanne d'Arc. But the Keshiks, the Knights, and the ranged cavalry are just going to demolish the force here. A new force of pure range infantry, again coming up for the Abbasid, as the French are taking an aggressive position. You could even see a French Red Palace coming out here. You protect this large gold. This large gold still has 7,600 out for it. Stone walls coming in here, as walls are getting pressured by the Mongol horde. France coming to join it. Production not being rallied to where the fight's going to be, and now the French and Mongol army is pushing directly into the Jeanne d'Arc base. Jeanne d'Arc has never really gotten able to get their feet under them, never really got the economics they needed. And the Kurultais coming forward here are going to try to give that extra impact. And it's hard to feel like this is not going to be over very quickly here. Jeanne d'Arc has nothing to work with here. Yes, you have the Abbasid economy, but it absolutely just gets rips to shred here by the cavalry of the French and the Mongols, and more ranged units of their own coming in from the east. Abbasid looking to hold the line. Slow production coming out from Kid. And pretty soon, the pink army is going to be absolutely overrun here. Crossbows the emphasis now. And this is again a question. If you're the Abbasid and you go into military wing and you get the composite bows, you want to be making archers. Archers are very effective and they're trash units. They're very cheap. Still no camels. Nothing to tank up the damage either. Nothing to hold a front line. So a challenging comp here. Now we have ranged cavalry just parading through the back line of Jeanne d'Arc. Killings going on with man of arms. from the Mongols coming into the French base, or excuse me, coming into the Abbasid base. And right now, the map control of the Eastern team is just complete. I don't see at this point any way back. I mean, there's nothing for the Jeanne d'Arc to do. Their base is camped. Economic units are protected here for safety, but there's just not much left here. Jeanne d'Arc unable to recover from the earlier attacks. And Abbasid, you know, made this huge economy to go into this massive archer ball, but they didn't use the best tools available. And there's, you know, and I think mismacroing is really the name of the game here. 3,100 gold for Jeanne d'Arc. Large amounts of resources in the bank for these desperate villagers who just keep making walls. And you see the position France is in here. France has the walls coming up. They're going to start defending trade. They haven't started making their own trade yet. And France's economy is still at risk of getting overrun at some point, but it just simply might not matter because at this point, this game is 2-1. Mangudai, Keshiks, Khan's Hunters doing what they do best. Just being really annoying and hard to chase. And now you see the complete force of the armies coming in. Rams coming down for the French in Jeanne d'Arc's base. The Kurultai going to be healing up these units. Abbasid has a bit of a mass again. 60 range units. Still no camels. Not a single camel to try to debuff. You know, it's a huge piece of Abba's game. You're countering what they make, not making your own OP units. And it's hard to feel like this game hasn't been over for quite some time. We suspect that a Red Palace might come over here. At this point, probably a moot point. You already have this gold is 2/3 of it is gone, or well more than half is gone, I should say. Red Palace could still be really useful securing this large gold and planting itself in front of the enemy base. As now the entire attention of both the French and Mongol armies focuses on the Abbasid crossbow mass. A lot of people like to criticize Abbasid for staying in their base and booming too hard. I don't think that's what happened here. It's not so much that Abbasid boomed too hard, they boomed slowly. The town centers were not built optimally, and then they simply didn't use the economy developed effectively. They didn't use the wood to get down early farms. They put the villagers in risky positions. They didn't use it to get a front line that they needed. They had a plan of this infantry, range infantry mass only, and it wasn't what the situation called for. You had to be flexible. And now this trade back line is going to get attacked. You do get the debuff from these camels now. The camel unease does mean that this group of ranged cavalry is going to be doing 20% less damage. It's going to be reduced. But it's just simply not enough. Kurultai making its way to the Abbasid base where all the action is. And right now, Kid is down to a population of 14. Hard to say. This is not a case where it should be absolutely an automatic GG here. The remaining survivors of Jeanne d'Arc's contingent. The stake has spared them for now. Well, not Jeanne d'Arc herself. Getting a town center built as the Khan's Hunters and the Mangudai are going to come through and immediately just eviscerate this last dying hope here. Maybe not the best location. Jeanne d'Arc still believing now that they're down to a population of 8. They fled. They could go to an Abbasid town center to get healed up a little bit. Now, the other issue here is that you have trade. Kid has a lot of resources in the bank. You can trade those to your teammate. If you're out of the match and you're insisting on trying to still compete, you can try to help out your teammate. You can try to say, hey, here's the resources. I can't do it. You can. The other thing you have here is Abbasid has the resources to go over if they can, well, might not be a safe position, but if you snuck around it, you can rebuild your teammate's base, try to get them back in the game. Otherwise, there's just not much of a chance here. Straggler trees being consumed. France is rearming in what used to be the base of Jeanne d'Arc. Massive Mongol army pulled together. And they're checking the backline. They're checking to make sure there aren't being repairs made here. They're checking to make sure that the trade is able to be interrupted. Stone walls are only going to help so much from this angle, because they won't be able to access the trade otherwise. And we still have, I think, at no point really was any of the Eastern teams' economies attacked. You never saw that pressure on the trade. You never saw the villagers pressured. And, you know, I'm surprised that the Mongols are even moving away here. I mean, they know that there's going to be a good bite to eat here. Abbasid still. Hope springs internal. 50 range infantry going to try to confront the 30 or so cavalry units of the Mongols. Mongols decide to not pick the fight as as the 3 Jean's riders join Jeanne d'Arc herself to try to push this back and salvage that trade. Abbasid really believing apparently that they can boom themselves out of this. Is this one of those games when the one team is just typing in GG question mark? Are you out? Are you gonna quit? Why are you still playing? Well, they wouldn't be wrong for feeling that as the Abbasid walls fall here. Economy 121, excuse me. Abbasid still has a massive amount of resources coming in here. It's mostly wood. Which I understand if you still want to make range infantry only. And now we see it at the 23-minute mark, or almost thereabouts, switching into cavalry. Now, at this point in the game, they don't have the gold to make the camel riders, so they can only make the horsemen at this point. They can't make lancers. So unclear what they're going to want to do with these. Now, you do at least have the ability to take up some damage with horsemen. You do have, as Abbasid, the potential for a strong food economy, though right now you have a lot of unoccupied farms. The Kurultai is going to try to get down here. It's moving away. And I think this is, while I've been critiquing the Western team quite a bit, I do want to point out that France should have finished this. You don't need a red palace with map control like this. It's nice, but is it better than the improved cavalry you get from the Royal Cannon? France right now has the ability to pump out a couple of those. A little bit of siege here, and this game is over. You have an amazing foothold at the edge of their base here with this. So, again, the game is dragging on, not just because of the eternal hope of the Western team, and the hope of the 15 units now, owned by the Jeanne d'Arc player. But you also have this game extending because of a lack of awareness about what to do here as the French. The eco never expanded. They never went into trade. They never went into a second town center. So France is still out here hanging out with 81 villagers. And without the stronger economy, they're not able to finish off this game. One market able to trade from either side of the map, and this game would have been over. You're able to get the resources you need for that siege, get the landmark for the better siege. So You know, I get it, the White Tower preserves you, but what preserving do you need? It's been 2 versus 1 here for about 15 minutes. More infantry gonna die at the end. I don't know if I can handle looking at the kills to deaths ratio for the Abbasid here. I mean, they have made so many units. Now we are starting to see a little bit of this. They're getting a gold trickle from somewhere. Not sure where Abbasid. More farms coming up here. Oh, they have 2 relics, so they have a small gold trickle coming in here. Again, you get slightly better units in the Horsemen, something that can try to take that. Now, again, France is making a great move here, expanding that map control. A keep right on top of the trade line. You know, you could have put it here, which would give you a little more vision, but, you know, won't beg. Cognate Palace is just pumping out the expert unique units. We have the warrior monks who are going to give you that wonderful ability. Now, it's interesting too here, a few more misplays. You know, you have warrior monks. I mean, frankly, it's not that hard to get your own shamans out. Relic, 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 relic. You got a lot of relics on the field here. Take them away. You have 3 sacred sites. You have total map control. Take them. Right now, the Eastern team is allowing this game to prolong because they're not making any moves different than, frankly, they were making in the feudal age. They're making pretty similar units. They're using pretty similar tactics. And slowly, you're allowing a small window here. I mean, Kid has housed himself at 20 units in minute 36, so finally resolving that situation with their new home away from home. Abbasid here. Iman's on the field. Unclear if they're going to be able to be... yeah, so they are rallied out here to try to get these... They're rallied in a way because they didn't build any gates. So a gate is now coming too late, and Amon's going to get demolished here. Now, interesting if either of the Eastern players say, hey, I wonder why Abbasid was making an Amon. What could they be using religious units for? Because right now, the warrior monks could be doing some work. Getting rid of that last chance of hope. Now cavalry swinging around the soon-to-be-opened back of the base. And France doing what they were supposed to do, doing the walls that their teammate couldn't. A little late. Had Abbasid had their wits about them, they could have executed a little pressure. And I think, you know, you see this in top players a lot. Even if they're getting absolutely demolished, as we see an attack from the Mongols come forward. Even if you're looking desperate, sending even just a couple of units around to try to harass the other team, it distracts them. It could make them reconsider the advantage they actually have. Abbasid looking for an opening. They found it. They're going to go into the Wolf's Den here with a hell of a lot. The Abbasid player is running through here. They're going to try to make some eco damage. There's not a lot they're going to be able to get done with that amount of defense. Choke point now, not using the walls. All of this range infantry of the Abbasid could be on the walls where they're safe from this damage. Not using the available things. And a cannon emerges from Jeanne d'Arc. They might not have a lot of pop, but they're able to pop a cannon. Blasting away. It's going to get wasted here. I mean, this wall is likely to get done, and the cannon gets absolutely eviscerated. Minimal damage done here. I think we saw about 45 units, economic units here, and you know, most of them were able to run away. And now, finally, the Abbasid surrender. Jeanne d'Arc, perhaps, I don't know what they're waiting for. They're not going to do this solo. As we await the final moments. So there we have it. An interesting game. Again, I think what's important to point out here is if you're going to go that macro game, you have to use it to make the right units. You have to be able to see where your ability to produce matches what your opponent needs. Let's check out the negative military score. I have to see here. Let's see. We have the Abbasid killed 359 units and lost 662. I actually thought that was going to be worse. But a rough game there. Hopefully they can learn from it. Hopefully you can learn a little bit about making sure your build order is tight. If you're going to get those TCs, get them up quick. If you're going to have a big economy, have a lot of production and make the right units to counter what you're facing. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.